Welcome back to Dusty Dingus. Short video for you today. I wanted to take some time to introduce you to my 1975 Honda XL350. So I'm going to talk a little bit today about what I've done to this bike in the time that I've had it, and our future plans for this coming winter. Some projects to work on. So I got this bike from my father-in-law, now father-in-law. He pulled it out of his barn and got it running, and then broke his ankle on it and gave it to me. He didn't really damage it when he wrecked it. So I get up there. This is probably 2 hours up the canyon in the mountains. So I get up there, and he says, "Here, it's yours." So I take it out for a ride, and well, I wrecked it some more. So I spent the 2 years after that rebuilding everything. First thing I did was replace all of the gauges and light mount up front. Just smashed all that in. So I needed new gauges, new headlight bucket and trim, and this piece here was all replaced with parts I found off of eBay. And to get new mirrors for it also. So after that was all taken care of, the bike was running again. I was able to get it down from the mountains and park it at a friend's house while I worked on bits and pieces. One of those first projects was fork seals. And in these forks, it's not like others where you have kind of a backup ring that sits on this inner tube piece, so you can just pop the seal out. These you have to pry that seal out, and that's the toughest part about doing these. After that, I was able to install the new seals just fine, refilled them with fluid, put the new dust caps on. They've been working great ever since. So I've switched to LED lights in the gauges. It's only a 6-volt system, so less draw from the battery as we can accomplish through LEDs, the better. Put new grips on the handlebars. When I wrecked it, I smashed up the tank. So this is actually the third or fourth tank that I've bought for this motorcycle. The first one got smashed in there. It was still holding fuel just fine, but it looked real ugly. The second one that I bought for it was actually the wrong year, so I had to send that one back. And then the third one was also the wrong tank, so had to send that one back also, or ended up selling that one with the other parts bike that I got, because it was for a 250, and there's just a little bit of difference in how the tank sits on the frame that made it incompatible. So this tank that's on here I actually got from a auto museum in Wisconsin. They happen to have one listed on their website with the original paint scheme. It's a little beat up, so I need some work, but it is holding fuel, whereas the tank that was on before this one had a big split right back here at the seam, so it was no good. And being a steel tank, they're a little bit more difficult to find somebody that knows how to braze over that properly without blowing themselves up or hurting the tank even worse. So reconditioned the side covers a little bit, mostly just we cleaned them up and slapped new decals on them. The carburetor has been rebuilt once or twice. I've had a very difficult time finding parts for it. A lot of people just swap out for another carburetor kit that you can buy online and tune them around, but this is the original carburetor. It's had all the seals replaced and everything. The one thing I have not been able to find is the proper size replacement needle and seat, so that tends to get stuck from time to time. I did go through left and right crankcase covers, replaced gaskets, and replaced all the hardware. Originally this is all Phillips screws, and those old Phillips screws, I mean, the heads have the consistency of soft cheese, and so do these aluminum casings, so you have to be real careful when you're removing them. An impact driver is an absolute necessity, but these have all been replaced with stainless steel Allen head fasteners on both sides. Let's take a look at that side over there. All stainless steel Allen heads all around. More recent work that's been done on it is this exhaust. Picked this exhaust up from a gentleman named Randy, who runs a Retro Rider parts. He supplies vintage motorcycle parts to hobbyist restorers and mechanics like myself, and he happened to have one laying around. I think it is all rusted out inside. Last time I had it off, there's a lot of rattling around in there, so either a lot of dirt from the barn that it was stored in, or it's just rusted out. It seems to sound okay, so, but the reason I had to get this exhaust is the old one had rotted out right here, and when one of the previous owners repaired it, they cut that section out and welded it back. Well, it was shorter, so this pre-muffler here, it was just running into this left side crankcase. So one of the parts that came off the part bike was this left side crankcase cover. Most recently, I had to replace the exhaust mounting studs, flange, collars, nuts, and the whole bit. I had taken it out for the second ride this season. I haven't been riding much this season, and I started to hear a very loud tapping noise. Well, I pulled over and figured out it was a exhaust leak. Turned off onto a side road to head back home, and lost the other stud. The collar slid, the bracket slid down. Both the collars were gone, both the nuts and hardware. And what happened was this stud broke off inside the head. I had to use an easy out to get it out, but did have good luck there and got a new stud in. Copper anti-seize on everything, and torqued it, heat cycled it, torqued it again, and I just haven't had the confidence since to take it back out on the road, or the time really. It's been a pretty crazy couple months. So some of the parts that were considerably harder to find for this motorcycle were the tank and some of the smaller things. This cable stay that keeps the tack cable, which obviously needs replaced, off of the exhaust. That was really hard to find, and Randy up at Retro Riders just happened to have that on hand and threw that in with the package deal. This rubber plug that covers the clutch tappet, that was also missing, and oil was just leaking profusely out of there. So I'm in much better shape with this on. These left side covers have a problem where water will get in through this seal and sit down by that clutch tappet and just corrodes the aluminum. But this one happened to be in good enough shape to use. It does happen to leak a little bit around there, but it's manageable. As the previous owner told me, yes, it leaks. That's how you know there's oil in it. If it stops leaking, that's how you know it's out of oil. So, the petcock was rebuilt. I do have a fuel filter in line. I'll probably be taking this out soon because I don't feel like I'm getting quite enough fuel flow. But the seat I did recover also. This had a pretty big dip in it right here. I filled that in with some formed foam. Obviously it's not perfect, but neither is the seat pan, so just an improvement from where it was. Not quite perfect. So this bike tends to be a project for me. Every time I take it on the road, a little something will come loose or need a little tightening, or just being that it's an older bike, you have to stay on top of everything. So let's open the garage door. It's pretty chilly in the garage here this morning, so this will be a pretty cold start. It's been sitting for a while, but let's see how this goes. One more thing I forgot to mention, the rear fender I also had to find a replacement for. The mounting hardware on both sides here was missing. This rubber piece was missing, and so as a result it had just been flapping around in the breeze and was all cracked up and broken. So that's been replaced, as well as the taillight wiring going back. And all the lights on it work. But one of the things that I plan to do this winter is take the front and rear fenders off, sand them down, and paint everything up nice, because they look a little gray, aside from the dust that's been collecting on it. Alright, let's give this a try. Doing fuel in reserve position because I don't know how much is in the tank. I know there's some in there, but key on, and we'll start the choke about halfway. Let's see what happens. Let's go ahead and remove this, because I'm betting that's causing some fuel delivery issue here. I had that in there. I haven't run much gas through this tank since I cleaned it out. I wanted to catch some rust. Oh, it definitely caught some stuff, so I'd say it's probably served its purpose. Oh boy, if you don't know, if you're out of shape, kicking one of these things over a bunch of times will remind you. So let's give this another try. Half choke. Once you get it going, it runs great. Got the choke all the way off now. Now it's idling. We'll show you how the lights work here. I've always thought the horn sounded funny. I love it though. Because it leaks oil, it leaks it right on the exhaust, and every time when you're warming it up, it'll burn all that stuff off. Nothing to worry about. Yep, that's it for today, and that's my 1975 Honda XL350 K1, and we're gonna do some more videos on this in the future, so subscribe, because you will be seeing a lot more of this, because like I said, every time I get on it, a little something needs worked on. And that cold start went a lot rougher than I was expecting, so you need to just run it more often or figure out how to start it right. If any of y'all out there have any tips for cold starting these things or carburetor tuning, feel free to throw them in the comments or send me a message. I'd love to hear your thoughts. So hope you liked the video. If you did, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button down there, and click the bell to get notifications every time a new video comes up, and share it around with your friends. You got motorcycle enthusiasts, show them. A lot of Harley riders would stop me riding this thing and, man, I learned to ride on one of those, it's great. And you don't see a lot of them around in this good a shape anymore, and we have a good ways to go on it, so stick around.